There are 6 stages of clay. First one is called slip. It's watered down clay that can be used as a pottery glue. The second one is called plastic. That's clay that you can easily mold and model. It's pretty soft. There's leather hard clay. That's clay that's somewhat dry, but it's really good for carving with tools. The fourth one is called bone dry, clay that's dry and ready to be fired. It's very fragile, and sometimes it's called greenware. The fifth one is bisqueware. That has been fired already. Clay that's been fired once in a kiln, and it can never turn back into wet clay. And sixth is glazeware. Clay that has been fired again with glaze. Boys and girls, you will receive a piece of clay in a slab that is really workable called the plastic stage. Alright, boys and girls, I'm going to teach you how to attach clay to other pieces of clay. I'm going to show you how you score clay. That means scratch a clay piece and a clay surface with a tool. So we're going to be scoring. You're going to learn how to use slip. You slip on with your finger or a little stick, or maybe even a little bitty Q-tip, and you just use a little bit on each piece. Slip is basically clay glue. It's dried up old clay and water. And you're going to press or compress. You're going to stick the clay piece onto the surface where you want to attach it, and you're going to press till it starts to stick. All right, let me show you how we're going to do this. Here is a list of ceramics vocabulary words that we can refer back to. Hello, boys and girls. Today we are going to be receiving a piece of clay and a cookie cutter and cutting out a heart out of a slab of clay. That means this clay has been cut into a perfect width. This is 1/4 inch, maybe you'll get a 1/2 inch. And it's really wonderful to build with clay when you have a slab. You can almost do anything. So we're very lucky to have some slabs of clay. Now, you'll be receiving a heart and some materials to decorate and incise into it. We're going to be making something special with these hearts. Right here, I'm just adding circles with the bottom of my pencil. On this side, I'm going to be pressing in these circular spiral shapes from this rubber stamp. You can see I have some gooey clay here. It's basically clay and water. Just little old pieces of clay plus water creates slurry, and this slurry is like glue for clay. That's what it is, basically. So we're going to have 2 hearts. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut the top of one heart off. Which one do I prefer? I think I'm going to use this as the front. And I'm going to take this piece, create a straight edge. I'll show you where to slice it. I'm going to slice the top of this off. And I could drop it in my slurry, but I'm just going to put it in a slab pile. So I basically have a 1/2 a heart and an entirely whole heart. These 2 pieces are going to be put together, okay? Now, my clay is pretty dry. Yours will not be that dry. And what we're going to do is we're going to push out the center so that we can make this little vase that hangs on the wall. A teeny tiny vase, but a vase nonetheless. That's going to hang on the wall, that holds the shape of the heart, and it gets connected together. So the middle is staying out. So we're kind of pushing this center out a little bit. So we may have to change the shape of this heart a little bit. All right, boys and girls. Now that I've pressed the center out without breaking this piece, I'm going to need a piece of paper towel that sits in the middle. And I don't want it stuck. Just a little piece of paper or paper towel is going to sit in the middle and hold this shape until it's dry. All right. Now, with my pencil, I want you to, or with your pencil, I want you to mark the top and the top of the side, because these pieces are going to be glued together. Okay? You can see I made a little mark here and I made a little mark there. I'm going to peel this off. I'm going to move this over and I'm going to have you cut these tiny little cuts all the way down to the bottom and all the way to this other side. All these little cuts without ruining your clay completely. Don't smash it into smithereens or squish it so far down. This is going to fit here and here. We're going to clean up those edges. This side has to be cut too. The flip side. All these little cuts will, oh, you can tell that clay is dry because it's breaking. All these little cuts will hold the glue, the slurry. And that slurry and glue are going to adhere or connect these two pieces of clay permanently. Okay. So now, after I've made these cuts, I take my slurry and I just carefully place it in here without putting too much. I don't want it to be too gunky. I feel like I'm buttering bread. Okay, and then I'm going to go on this side. This wet slurry, or this wet clay, is going to start helping it connect. It's making it nice and moist, and then it could connect together. Here we go. That's one side. I'm going to have to do it on the flip side. Not too much, but you really want to get some of this slurry in these little cuts, because that's going to make sure that there's clay everywhere in here, and that we could glaze it and they're all connecting pretty nicely. I didn't put any in the middle. And now to make sure that this adheres together, I'm going to press those two pieces together. Make sure you have a paper towel for your fingers, because this is where it gets kind of messy, and press. Extra clay, slide it over. Extra clay or extra slurry. Make sure it's kind of connecting. Pressing, but don't press the middle. See? The middle still has a gap in it. And it's looking pretty good. You are going to get like a soft tool. It almost looks like a plastic knife. I only have my real knife here, and I'm going to smooth these pieces together. And then, see? It almost looks like one piece now. And I'm going to go around. And I'm going to connect these pieces together. This side looks a little more rough. And voila, I can wipe this off. You don't want to have a lot of extra clay roaming around here. There we go. Now I'm going to use my finger to smooth it out. Now do you see there's kind of slurry stuck in here? I'm going to pull this around and smooth it out a little bit. I'm going to smooth this side out. These two pieces are now connected. I'm going to wipe off the extra slip and slurry. I'm going to cover that up. The two pieces are connected. The back looks a little rough, so why don't I clean that up? What a mess. Clay can be very messy and a lot of fun. And there we have our heart vase that hangs on the wall. I'll make a hole in it for you right in the middle after class. Make sure your name is on a slip of paper next to your artwork, like my name, so I know whose is whose. And voila, you have a clay wall hanging vase in the shape of a heart that can hold little treasures. And we'll put this in the kiln and fire it. Thank you, boys and girls. Boys and girls, remember how to join clay together. Number 1, you score. That means you scratch the surface. Number 2, you add the slip, which is the glue for clay. Number 3, you press or stick it down. Or compress it, push it down. And number 4, you smooth it out. Take off any little lumps and bumps and smooth it out with your finger. And that is how you join two pieces of clay.